What's up, guys? Holy crap, today I'm going to talk to you about yesterday, because yesterday was crazy. Absolutely crazy. First off, let me summarize real quick what yesterday's video was about. Yesterday's video was about these 8 things that I don't do on a regular, recurring basis. Okay, let me rephrase that. There are things that I do, but I don't make a point to do as soon as I wake up without hesitation, without skipping a beat, okay? And the point is to do those things so that I put my body in a good place and then get myself outside to expose myself to the world, to try and get something to happen that wouldn't normally happen, that makes me think about something or teaches me about people, right? And holy crap, did that happen yesterday. Like, oh my God. Okay, so I did my 8 things, and then I went outside. And my goal, I took a DS with me, and I wanted to play a video game. So I climbed up into this big bridge, and then I could play my video game, but also look down at the people walking under the bridge, okay? And I chilled there for a little bit, and then I saw these 2 people come out of the woods. And I was like, oh, that looks kind of weird. I guess they were just chilling in the woods. And then they go back into the woods, and then they bring out a big suitcase, and then they go back into the woods and bring out a box, and then they go back and they bring out more shit. And I was like, what? What's going on here? And so I just kept watching them from up in the bridge. They didn't see me yet. And eventually they did their thing, gathered all their stuff, and then noticed me. And they're like, hello. And then I had a little bit of small talk with them. And I found out that they were recently homeless, which was interesting because I don't actually know any homeless people. And I've never had a chance to really talk to somebody who's homeless and learn what their life is like. Everything in my head about homelessness has been preconceptions, not things that came from personal experience or things that came from asking people questions. Just stuff I've heard about homelessness, right? So I asked them if I could, or I asked them what they were doing, and they said they were going to get food. So I was like, can I follow you guys? I'll buy breakfast or whatever, right? So I followed them, and I spent 6 hours following these people, just hanging out with them, talking to them, asking them questions, and observing what they were doing, right? So I pretty much just shadowed them in a day in their regular day-to-day life. And they very much did not try and hide any of their regular day-to-day life stuff to me, right? Because they were very straight up with the fact that they were drug addicts. And that was how they became homeless. And it was honestly really surreal just how the guy in particular was very honest. Like, at one point he said that he really hates how often people talk about homelessness and they blame the circumstances or blame the city, that kind of thing. He was like, look, I'm homeless because I have a drug addiction and this is my fault. Like, he was completely straight up to me. He wasn't trying to use any excuses. He told me how it is. He was just completely real. And so, my face is red because I was literally outside all day with these people. And so it was crazy. Just oh man, I after I got back, it made me realize how hypocritical it is for me to ever complain about anything. Because my life is really good, and maybe it doesn't feel that way sometimes, but wow. I have information in my head that will get me out of pretty much any situation that comes up, right? I'm not wealthy, but say that something happened and I had to become wealthy because I didn't have a choice. I have the information necessary to make that happen. I just don't necessarily do the work to make it happen, right? I now understand that that's really lucky. I am incredibly lucky to be so informed and have been exposed to so many different cultures. Because I'm aware that if shit goes down, you can just go to a different country and re-roll the dice, over and over and over again, right? Most people aren't aware of that. They don't know that that's a thing that they could actually do that would change their life, right? Because for these people, both of them, like, the only reason they were happy is because they had each other, right? They were obviously in love with each other. Being homeless definitely isn't easy, like, at all, like, obviously. But I now understand how you can kind of get used to that life and get in a cycle. Because basically what happened is, so we went to get breakfast, and I sat down. The guy, I wanted to sit down with both of them and eat, but the guy said that he really needed to panhandle for a while, because that's how he earns money. So, like, it's great to sit down and get a free lunch, but, like, he really should be panhandling, because he needs to do that so that he can, live. So we agreed that he would panhandle while I was inside, and I bought him some food, that kind of thing. And I'm really not trying to be one of those people who's just like, oh, look, I'm going to get you food. Yeah, because ultimately it's more about spending, like, for me, I was more beneficial to them because I hung out with them and I talked to them and I treated them like people and I asked them questions and, like, we actually interacted. That was the beneficial part, because that's absolutely atypical for most people in that scenario. The fact that I bought them food doesn't really matter that much. That's not a meaningful difference in their life, right? Whereas being this completely atypical interaction with a non-judgmental person, that's way more beneficial for them. That being said, it was crazy. Like, so they went from car, job, and house to homeless in, like, a couple months. Like, it escalated really, really quickly. And, like, they made wrong decisions, obviously. That doesn't just, like, happen most of the time. Usually there's things that led up to that, right? But it was really, really eye-opening talking to them. And so, yeah, basically, she told me about the whole scenario, how they got homeless, what led them to be where they are, that kind of thing. And then the guy was outside panhandling, and then we finished, brought him the leftovers from the food, and then I sat in, like, a bush for, like, another hour while he finished panhandling. And at that point, he'd gotten, like, $33, right? So then he paid $3.25 to get back up the hill that we had walked down, because we'd gone on, like, a 45-minute walk down a really, really steep hill to get to the point where they were panhandling and where we ate, right? So after that, got the taxi cab back, and now I got to see what the money's for, right? So some of the money went towards food, and then immediately the rest went towards drugs, right? And I was walking around just talking with them, and then they split up, and one of them went and got something and came back, and, like, I knew it was going on. Like, I've never been around that scene. Like, I've smoked weed, that kind of thing, but that's a very different scene than the hardcore drug addict scene of, like, we're talking about drugs like methamphetamine and heroin. Those are the two main evil drugs. I consider cocaine kind of evil, but meth and heroin are the ones that are, like, yikes. They cause a lot of human beings on this planet a lot of pain, and certain people get really rich from it. But yeah, so they bought heroin, and then we went to a spot on the river where they shot up. And I was just sitting there, like, looking at the river, sitting in a spot that I'd sat at before just to look at the river. And then they had, like, needles in their arms, and it was really surreal, definitely. They were really, like, really straight up with me, definitely. And that's ultimately why I followed them and why I wanted to be around them. Because I could tell that, like, these people are in fucked up situations, but they're not going to hurt me. Like, they're literally just going to leave me be. In worst case scenario, I can run fast and I could just run away. But it never got to a point where I felt like that. I always understood what was probably going to happen next and, followed the pattern. But it was just crazy. Like, to get to see... Yesterday, I got to see firsthand what the opioid crisis is in the States. I don't know for where whoever's watching this video and listening this far into the video, I don't know where you live, but the United States has some really unique problems here. And the opiate epidemic, specifically where I am right now in West Virginia, is a huge, huge problem, like a really, really big problem. And the reason for this problem is because it's kind of like guns in the States. We manufacture tons of opiates, and it's so easy to get opiates. Incredibly easy. And I'm saying opiates, that means anything from Percocet to heroin. Like, if you're buying street heroin, you probably didn't just go out one day and were like, I'm gonna get some heroin. What happened, most likely, is that you were on something else or whatever, or started buying like Percocets or Oxycontin or pills or something, right? And then you got to a point where you got addicted to that, and then you realize like, oh, heroin's way cheaper, right? That's how a lot of people end up on like black tar heroin, all the bad street heroin with needles and shit. They don't start that way. They start on legal drugs. Like, they get prescribed painkillers for shit that they probably shouldn't, start to abuse that, get used to it. And you know what's crazy about people who are addicted like this is that you literally cannot stop taking them. Because if you do, you can die. That's a real thing. Like, when you have a history, when you are actually addicted to opiates or meth or other intense drugs like that, the withdrawal is so intense, it can actually kill you. Like, which is insane, because think about it now. You're a drug addict, right? You're really easily able to get all of the things you need to be addicted, but then what do? Like, you literally have to commit a crime to continue to be alive. You can't go get treatment because in this area, in this country, there's literally not any good options for you. So we make it incredibly easy to get these drugs, and then we make it incredibly hard to be treated for it. It's sad, like incredibly sad, and it's fucked up, and it's alarming just how... Because a lot of you guys listening to this video, I know you're just going to be like, oh, you're crazy. You followed around drug addicts. They told them yourself, you know, they put themselves in that situation. And it's like, yeah, but like, I think about my life. I made some bad decisions at certain points, right? Like really bad decisions. But I'm pretty well off. Like, that didn't fuck me up. It didn't give me a drug addiction, right? Whereas like, say that one day when I was, I don't know, like 18 or 19, say that instead of trying to cope with my life by working on stuff or, I don't know, like playing a game, say I coped with it by going out and hanging out with a stranger. And then I was in a really, really bad mood. And for whatever reason, that stranger had a drug problem, right? And then I participated in that drug problem. I don't think I would have ended up like they were. But if my life had played out differently, maybe I would, you know? Like, and that was the thing that was so hard for me to be around them and understand. Like, even if I were to help them financially and get them a job or something, it wouldn't help, you know? Because the real problem is the lack of an interesting, fascinating life that's so fun and fulfilling you don't want to do drugs, right? Like, even if they get treatment or get a different job, ultimately they know the people. They're in with the scene. And unless they get out, they're going to die there. And that's insane. And this has been a long tangent, but my point here was like, holy crap, this was day one of this eight things I do in the morning so that I can get my body ready and then throw myself out into the world and learn something, right? Challenge my preconceptions. I'm like, holy crap, that was day one. What's it going to be like after a week? I'm honestly adventured out for now. Today I went outside and I just walked to the post box and I was like, all right, this is my adventure outside today. I had enough yesterday. That was really intense. But it was sad, definitely, because I mean, in my opinion, both of them were genuine people. Like, it was really sad just seeing, like, fuck. Jeez. Terrifying, dude. Let's just say, if I had a kid, there's absolutely no fucking way I would raise a child in an area that has opiate problems. Just because I understand, like, you let your kid play outside, they go meet somebody who's a little older than them and they think they're cool, and that guy has a heroin addiction. Like, that's realistic and common. And that is absolutely fucking terrifying. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Ciao.